You can start, Adi.
Good evening, everybody. We will start today's session by Brother Vinay Kumar Patri. That is the Constitution of Man, Part 4. Before we start, let's start with the universal prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May all who feel themselves as one with thee know they are therefore one with every other. Today, we have Brother Vinay Kumar Patri, the President of Madras Theosophical Federation, delivering a lecture on Constitution of Man, Part 4. Now over to Brother Vinay Kumar Patri.
Thank you, Adikeshwa. Let me recap. I think we have dwelt at length on various bodies, various planes, and how the monad has descended, and how the evolution is going up, and then how constitution of man changes as we move forward. I think this would be in the constitution of man. This would be the last session. Let me share my screen. Okay, you have to enable my screen sharing, please. Adikeshwa, if you can enable the screen sharing, I will start sharing my screen.
1 minute, 1 minute. Can you share? Hello? Hello?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, it is come up. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we all can see.
Okay, just a recap. We have seen last week about the way the body is constituted into higher triad and the lower quaternary with all of these planes. Now let's move forward with the next question about dreams. And then this is a very interesting subject. A lot has been said in different forums, in different books. And in this book, a good deal of information has been given. So let us dwell on it a bit with some visual representations as well. So basically, in order to consider this mechanism of dreams, we have to consider 4 aspects. One is the physical, etheric, and astral planes and bodies by means of which impressions are conveyed to our consciousness. And then the second aspect is we must consider the study of the consciousness and its effects and uses, and also the condition of both consciousness and its mechanism during the sleep. There's a difference between the second and third. Consciousness and effects, basically, consciousness and effects during and its mechanism during the sleep. And then fourthly, to inquire about various kinds of dreams and which are thereby produced. Now, mechanism, let us study after another physical. There is in the body a great central axis of nervous matter ending in the brain. And from this, there is a network that starts. Okay. So it's a network of threads that radiate in every direction through the body. So it is these nerve threads according to the modern scientific theory, which by their vibrations convey all information from without the brain and also after receiving these impressions, translate them into the sensations and then perceptions. So that if a man puts his hand on a plate, it is hot, and he finds it hot, it is not his hand that is feeling the pain, or actually the brain that is feeling the pain, which is acting upon information transmitted to it by the vibration running along the telegraphic wires. So that, as I mentioned earlier, so one peculiarity of physical mechanism is its remarkable tendency to repeat automatically the vibrations to which it's accustomed to. So when we see children, we teach them that something they should not do, like they should not put their fingers in electrical wires or the plug points, or we tell them that there's a hot pot that is just turned out from the stove and then kept it on the table. We keep on telling them that it is hot. Something out of the stove is hot. We should not touch, not touch. And we give all of different types of animations, animated messaging that we do. That it is hot. Oh, it is hot. So that kind of messaging through memory, it is captured and it is imbibed. So the body, this includes the body habit also and behavior, and this kind of a thing, though it in physical world, it is going very much into the physical brain and memory. It is very difficult once we sleep to retain that. So it's very difficult to retain such things in the wakeful state. Now, when we go to the next level, which is ether. So as the transmission of impressions of the brain depend upon rather upon a regular flow of prana along the etheric portion of nerve threads than upon mere vibrations of particles of their relative denser and visible portion. It is commonly observed that any changes in the volume of this velocity of these currents will definitely affect the conditions of etheric portions of the brain, and then bring about different kinds of reactions like hysteria, anger, lassitude, whatever. So the denser the etheric matter of the brain, the greater of these kind of reactive repercussions. So on the physical side of the brain, so any irregularity either in either side will create a kind of a disturbance. So this disturbance will create a distortion in the etheric side than what is actually perceived. So suppose something is perceived on the physical side, and because of these disturbances, as I mentioned, the distortion will be higher and greater on the etheric side. So, and this is more vocal as we go from the etheric to the astral. So in the astral vehicle, if you consider, it is even more sensitive to this external impressions than the grosser physical and then the etheric bodies. So, for example, it is itself a seat of all desires and emotions, as we all know, the astral plane in the body. So the connecting link through which alone the ego can collect experiences from the physical state is this through the etheric. So it is peculiarly susceptible to influence passing through the currents. And when the mind is not actively controlling it, it perpetually receives kind of a stimuli, continuously it receives stimuli with from the astral side, and then it is more readily influenced during the sleep of the physical body. So all of these different portions, the mechanism are mere instruments of the ego. So the ego himself is a developing entity, and his influence over them is naturally small in the earlier stage. So neither his mind nor his passions are thoroughly under control. So they are like spray of water going in different directions. They are not under control, not under control of the ego. So consequently, in sleep, what happens is they just go berserk. So different parts of the mechanism are almost entirely on their own account and without any reference to the ego. It actually centrally controls it. So let us take the conditions of sleep. In deep sleep, the physical body of a man, with its etheric double and prana, lies quietly on the bed, while the ego in the astral body floats some amount of tranquility just above it. And when we talk about the physical brain, the ego has over time resigned control of the brain, and the brain does not therefore become entirely unconscious. And the physical body has certain dim consciousness of its own, probably the physical elementals as we call it. So it has its own peculiarities. It is incapable of grasping the abstract ideas or memories as such, and they immediately become imaginary presence. For example, the idea of a glory that is suggested in consciousness, or glory, could shape take only as a vision of some glorious being that is appearing. So suppose there is when there's a thought about winning a title, for example. So somebody is playing a championship, and then there's a victory that a person has seen, table tennis or tennis or even anything that, or some kind of a title that has come. That glorious aspect, that glory can become a personified being and become an entity by itself, and totally unrelated. It's a concept. Glory is a concept of its own. Conceptually, it is something that we feel good about it, glorious, glory. But it becomes an entity in the dream. So another technical aspects of law of association. So there is a pinprick on the physical body. It could be imagined as a huge stab with a knife. So, for instance, those people with the sugar suffering from diabetes, they keep on testing morning, evening. Sometimes they measure. They have to measure. So this is part of their life. I'm giving an example. Its incidence is so much that suddenly it's an element of fear also comes in, because law of association. So it is associated to something that would happen to the body, right? So suppose they are dreaming about testing their, diabetes. It could take the shape of a knife being put into a hand, okay? Or it could be even anything. The imagination can go a different way. Somebody suppose somebody is trying to wake you up. Person A is waking up person B. Person B is in deep sleep. He doesn't wake up. So person A is irritated. He will pinch. Suppose he's pinching him. In his sleep, that pinch could be visualized as a bite by a monster. So that is a kind of an imagination or a perception that could be drawn. So what we are calling it as a, physical perceptions of the consciousness. Here we talked about the consciousness and it affects and uses. This is how it is applied here. So this consciousness with relation to the physical aspect translates these impressions in a different way in the astral world and the twin sleep. So now let's go to the etheric brain. So this part of organism is so sensitive to every influence, even during waking life, and that it is very subtle, and especially when condition of sleep. So it is influenced not by its thought, as it cannot think by itself. Talking about etheric brain. So it cannot think by itself, but it only influenced by floating thoughts of others around. So it is more than usually at the mercy of these thoughts currents that is float. Since the ego for this time is less in association with this etheric brain. So it is influenced by the floating thoughts. Again, it is noticed that when by any means this current are shut out from the etheric brain, it does not remain absolutely passive. It begins very slowly and dreamily to evolve pictures for itself to store the past memories. So if there is an influence that is being shut off, the person is completely in a very calm place, very purified, even if it is in a purified place where external thoughts, entities, or artificial beings are not influencing the etheric brain. It tries to create or generate impressions from the old memories. Again, taking the cue from the film. Now let's go to action. So as the appearance of this vehicle in which the ego is functioning during sleep differs greatly according to the stage of the development of the ego. But in every case, the body is ever intensely impressionable by any thought or suggestion or any desire that is going on. So let us now look at the ego. If a man in this primitive condition remembers anything at all, what happens to him in this sleep? It will almost invariably be the result of purely physical impressions made upon the brain, either from within or from without. So internally there could be something developing or externally. So any experience which is real, ego may not have been forgotten. So we remember the ego is always. So basically the bottom line is here is that we have, in order to summarize, you have to the dream has this four factors. The ego in any state of consciousness, from utter insensibility to perfect command of his faculties, and with position in the greater conditions of certain powers. So we have to consider in ordinary waking state. And then the astral body. So it is ever alternating with wild emotions in that. And then the etheric, which is seamlessly processing pictures and pictures, processing pictures, even which are disconnected. There are three different disconnected imaginary pictures or images or about or impressions or memories about two different people. Still, it will try to connect, and we'll have weird dreams of we being in a place which is unrelated to us currently, or we just an example, my own experience. We, as if our own children who are grown up now, we have a wild dream that our children are very young. In the dream, they are very young. And then they are young, and then we are all living in a place which is totally unrelated. That means maybe in future or which is in current, or which is not the age of that child. So imagination, the greatest imagination that wonders. another physical, which is infantile, semi-consciousness, and every stimulus in pictorial form. So impressions every minute as we spend our time during the day, capturing images, stories, etc. Databases. And of course, real dreams, many occasions are actual experiences. Not going out that, but initially development of ego. Many of these impressions, near and reproduction of dreams and imaginations. But there is a method as we explained before, how we can remember, the reconstruct our way we can imagine, the way we can remember what is happening. So, so what happens is we have the ego as it develops its own method of learning and then directing these bodies. The life continues. Now, the next question that we come is, you have explained about dreams that are caused, but can you give some practical suggestions as to how to remember them? So this is where we begin to have a wonder teaching. It's a great teaching that we. So for a normal person, the desires and passions of lower kind, there are no dreams, so only memories and distorted imaginations of fantasies, keeping.
Vinay Kumarji, your voice is not clear sometime.
Really?
Voice is not clear. Vibrating.
Okay, so I'm adjusting my mic. Is this better now?
This is better. Sometimes it is too good. Sometimes it is fading away.
Previously, your voice is not wrong.
It is not that it is breaking. Sometimes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
you are right, sir.
okay. So I have changed and adjusted my mic. Let me. You please stop me again as you have done now. If it is again going bad.
Okay, it is
It is
fine. You
quite
can
clear.
continue, sir.
Is this better now?
Yes, it is better.
Okay. So I was mentioning about the person who has a person with a desire, normal person with desires and passions of lower kind, they encircle him. There are no dreams, but there are only memories and distorted imaginations and fantasies. So which keep flashing the so-called dream state or kind of a sleep state. So for those who gather thoughts on the higher side and subdue the lower passions, then for them, the memory of life and day-led actions and life spent in astral world is almost continuous. So the beauty of man of ego development retains the memory of the physical world plus the astral life. However, but the difference is the physical brain does not remember the life spent in the astral world during the sleep. And there is a method as to how we could remember. There are exercises. Beautiful. It's a wonderful treasure for us when we have to work on ourselves during. I think we can try from today itself. Or many of you have not tried. There are certain wonderful exercises. So, if a man enters the state of sleep with his thought fixed upon a high and holy things, he thereby draws around him the elementals created by similar thoughts. Yes, and his rest is peaceful. His mind opens up to impressions from above, and it is closed down to those from below. That means only higher thoughts flow and lower thoughts are cut off. And he is going in a right direction. So, on the contrary, if person falls asleep with impure and earthly thoughts floating through his brain, he attracts to himself to gross evil who will come near him. Definitely they are attracted. So while during sleep, they are troubled by this wild, surging passions and desires, which render him blind, then deaf to the sounds of light. And because what seems to be the first portals of dream entrance may become very dreadful to that person. And sometimes we get up in the morning with a sense of accomplishment also, if we go with the lofty ideas. So, and because we don't remember, the physical brain doesn't remember where we have gone, and what we have done. It is impossible to recall also. But we sometimes get up with a sensation of elation.
Why is it not clear? Why is it not clear?
I don't know. Beyond this, I cannot. Again, the voice is breaking. You are telling me.
The thing is, whenever you are speaking this, it is good. Maybe are you moving away from the mic or something like that? We don't know. Now this is perfect. Whatever you spoke,
Okay. No, I am just before the mic. I'm not moving away.
Now it is fading away. Now it is fading away.
No, I did not do anything. It is only, I think,
Network issues, I believe so.
network issue. I am not moving anything.
Okay.
Okay. One second. Network. Okay. 1 minute. Give me a minute. I think I have to open the door. Let me know if it is clear now. Is this better?
Yes, this is the best of lot.
Okay. Okay, let me continue. And please stop again. Please stop again as we progress. As I progress. So I was talking about So when we get up, sometimes for no reason, we have a sense of accomplishment because we don't know from which places we have gone, where we have traveled, what we have done, but something good we must have done, because of which there is a kind of an elation. So there is a kind of a accomplishment, right? So some kind of a joy, some kind of being fulfilled, pleasant, all that we see. Sometimes this happens even in not only night, even during daytime. Suppose we have a deep sleep in siesta also. We get up with a great amount of elation. And then sometimes we also feel an unpleasant mood. Perhaps we would have a encounter which is not very pleasant and terrible and sometimes terrifying. So for a long time after we get up, we for no reason we feel unpleasant. Anyway, so that kind of an unpleasantness can come even by the influences that we have. So for many occasions we see that suddenly we are out of mood. We see that something is wrong somewhere. Something is troubling us. So it is all these thought forms, impressions, and entities that we would have attracted unconsciously. They would have come upon us and influencing our bodies, astral and etheric and other bodies, which is causing a disturbance in the physical brain. So it all translates down. Okay. Now, what if, let's go to the next question. But if there is you would like to remember, the question is, a man would like to remember and retain the memory of the astral world. There are a set of recommendations. How do we retain that memory? So, for that aspect, there are certain recommendations. So there are 6 recommendations. Retain that that information. before going to the bed. So I'm able to, you're able to hear me now undisturbed, right? Adhikeshwara sir? Is there a disturbance in the audio?
No, it is okay, sir.
Okay. So there are 6 recommendations that are made. First of all, before going to the bed, we have to raise our thoughts to the loftiest levels which people are capable of before they go to bed. Then the person lies down to sleep. You should think of the aura which surrounds him. Imagining that all the lower planes, including the astral and mental world, shall become a kind of a shell, a protection, a guardian against the influence of external entities and elementals which are floating in thought forms. However, the etheric brain may go on generating images based on the impressions of the physical brain, even though it is doing its work internally. Internal database is functioning, but external interface we will not allow. So for that, we need to create this kind of a aura, a shell. We call it sometimes close time. Right? So when we do that, there is a great amount of protection we definitely get. Then, person when out of the body should first remember that he is in the astral world. How we can remember when we go to the astral world, we don't know. But before going to the bed, we should give instructions to ourselves. We should give instructions to ourselves saying that, okay, we are entering the astral world and retain this memory that we have to be, we are in the astral world. We are about to, it's like boarding a train, right? Okay, I'm going to board a train. Okay, the flight is going to take off now. So if you are conscious of the fact that you are in the flight, so it's not that you take a flight and you just lose memory. Even in the flight also, you will have that consciousness, right? So similarly, if you give instructions to yourself, okay, you are awake, you will be in the astral world. You are catching a flight, you are in the midair, which means that you will be in the flight. That kind of instructions, if you are giving to yourself, that is another way that instruction that is passing on from the physical brain to the etheric and the astral, it will become slightly aware that it is in the astral world. So then that awareness will, that kind of an exercise will begin at that point of time. Then the fourth one is the conscious attempt must be made to establish a link between the physical and the astral memory. How that is done? Again, only through conscious effort. Your effort before everything, before catching the flight only, right? If we are keeping our passport, we are keeping our ticket, your boarding pass, everything we are keeping ready. After we take the flight, nothing is in our control. Only our memory is in our control. So similarly, we have to make preparations as if we are taking a flight. Before taking the flight, what all we need to do is what is listed here. These instructions cannot be read out. We cannot open a laptop or open a book from Kavri after we go to sleep and then try to read, okay, what should I do now after I'm gone to sleep? No. We have to think about this and keep in memory these instructions. So that is an attempt, a conscious attempt to establish a link from the physical and the astral world. Now, we should slowly come back to consciousness. So once get up from the bed, there should not be any sudden movement. So many people have this habit of getting up only with an alarm. An alarm with a jerk, they get up from the bed and then just 90 degrees straight away, they almost stand up on the bed. That kind of a thing is detrimental not only to the physical body, physical brain. It will result in a swing. Also physically, but also what happens is that with a sudden movement like that, whatever memory you are trying to retain, that gets snapped. It just completely it gets snapped. You cannot. We have to slowly get up, very slowly from the sideways. I mean, they tell in yoga also, you cannot straight away 90 degrees. We cannot get up from the bed. Slowly come to the consciousness. Get up, open your eyes. Maybe pray to God or whatever you believe. In the morning also we have this thoughtfulness about the divine. It is told in many scriptures. Then slowly get up with your feet touching the ground, feeling the ground, not jumping out of it and then running again. Many of us do when we are in colleges, schools, and when we are parents, we have to drive our children to schools. We do that. But if you can avoid it. So that will help us to retain that little memory that we have had during the astral travel. So before entering the physical body, one must remember and instruct oneself that we are about to enter the physical body. How we can tell, how we can know at that time? Again, instruction. So we have to tell that ourselves now that when we are coming back, okay, come back slowly. And now we are about to land from the airspace. There's instruction that is given by the air hostess. Now that we are entering the Chennai space, we are entering Delhi. The temperature outside is 25 degrees. So all that they make an announcement. Like that, we have to announce ourselves. Okay, I'm entering the physical body. And then these another thing that it is written is that we have to note down immediately as we wake up. We have to, if it is possible, keep a pen and paper and note down what happened. Many times, you can observe this. Many times, whatever faint memories that we may have, even without this practice, they will just vanish. Within 1 hour, they vanish. 1 or 2 hours maximum. You may have a wonderful experience. You may have something, of course, bad also, something unpleasant also. Sometimes we come across. Whatever it is, if you can note it down, when you're noting down that you're again reliving that experience again and solidifying that experience in the brain. Otherwise, it will fade. It will just fade in no time. You can't. After 1 hour, you will break your head. You just cannot remember. Somebody came. Something happened. You will say, but you don't know what actually happened. But if you practice this, it will definitely you will retain that memory. And writing down is another best practice. If you are really interested to develop this faculty of working in the astral world. So what are we? Why are we doing this? Why should we do this? I mean, it's beyond this book, but why should we do this? Why should we remember? What is that we need to do? It is a path of evolution. Remembering our lives in night and past lives. This is the way you work backwards. So it is also said that when we go to bed, we also remember our daytime. And so that is one way of recollecting our thoughts and composing our thoughts. And then re-evaluating where we have gone wrong, where we have gone right. So it is a part of evolution. So here also, it's a good practice to develop this so that our life is continuous. Our memory is continuous both in day as well as in night. Okay. So go to the next question. Can we recognize a friend or acquaintance in the astral or mental body with his appearance in absence of the physical body? So it could be a person who is dead or is also alive. Now, every human being is surrounded by a luminous cloud or a subtle portion of a fine light extending all around the physical body up to 18 or 24 inches. It's oval in shape and hence it is sometimes spoken as an auric egg. And it is not well defined, but it is edges are gradually fading. Now, part of the aura more developed. So now the next question is about the aura. I'm sorry. So what happens is that one more before we go into the aura, well about this question of how we recognize. So,
Kindly look into the voice, please.
no, I'm not doing anything. I'm just, I'm not even moving my hand. Again, gone?
Okay, now it's okay. I don't know. There must be some technical issues. No problem, sir.
Okay, sorry, today is bad.
No problem. No problem.
So, continuing with this, the fact that we should be aware is that it has got an aura. And the physical body strongly attracts this astral matter, which is internally attracts this mental and body as well, mental matter as well. Therefore, by target part, that is 99% of the matter of the astral body is compressed within the periphery of the physical frame. And the same holds good for the mental body also. So if we select the astral body of a man in its own world as part of the physical body, we shall still perceive the astral matter aggregated as exactly the shape of the physical, although the astral matter is more fluidic in nature. So what we see is a body built of dense mist. Therefore, in the astral or a mental world, we should meet an acquaintance or somebody that we know. We should immediately recognize him by his very appearance, just as instantly as the physical world. Okay, so because there is also an aspect of aura there which will attract this, which will represent these bodies, above these bodies. Now, next one which is linking to that is, what is this aureola seen sometimes in pictures around the heads of saints? So what is that? How can you explain that? So every human has this aura. It is surrounded, human being is surrounded by this cloud-like structure, and it's a subtle portion of a fine matter, and then it is extending all around the physical body, and then, as I mentioned, it's got a shape. It's a oval shape, and then an outline is there, but slowly that disperses, and it's more dense towards the head and the body, and slowly it disperses. So part of that aura, the more developed saint is shown as a circle or rays around the end of the portrait, and it's called aureole or a glory. Although the prana circulating the body is a rosy color. Okay, so and it is said that there are 5 different types of aura that are explained as health aura, pranic aura, kama aura, and then lower aura and higher manasic aura. There are 2 more auras, the sixth and the seventh, but there is not much of information that is being given to us. So at this point of time, again, I think we have come to an end of this chapter of 3 of Constitution of Man. So I'll take a pause to see if you have any questions.
Yes, participants, if you have any questions, you can put them to Brother Vinay Kumar ji, so that he can answer, or any feedbacks or whatever it is. Pradeep ji. Sharma ji, you have anything to say, Sharma ji?
No, sir, nothing to say.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, can we close now or what? Adi?
Yeah, we can close it now.
Okay, fine. So I'm ending the session. You want to do some prayer again? No, that's fine. Okay.